So hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about that episode of Fear. Okay, so as I said in my reaction video, that is probably my favourite episode of Fear that I've seen ever, because I couldn't figure it out at the time as I was watching it. I was like, why do I love this so much? Like, what is it about this episode that I'm just like, yeah. In certain ways, it was very reminiscent of Still. That's my favourite episode of The Walking Dead. It's the episode that's centred around Daryl and Beth. For those of you who don't remember, do you remember Beth really wants a drink and they end up in the country club? That's my favourite episode of The Walking Dead because it's so dialogue driven. It's so character story driven. It is all about these two characters, what they're up to. They kind of talk about their past a little bit. It's about where they're going. And I think that's why I loved this episode so much, because it reminded me of that. But not only that, it was something that we hadn't really seen all that much of in Fear, where it was strictly just romance, I guess. But it didn't really turn into romance until the end of the episode, I know that. But when you go back and you watch the episode from the start, it's just so fresh. It's so secluded and isolated and just them. And it has such a lonely feeling to it, the whole episode from start to finish. I mean, it opens with Dory being in bed and doing his daily life and his daily routine. And then when she comes along and she brings all these questions with her, like, who is she, where'd she come from, why is she here now, blah, blah, blah. And then you find out she lost a child and they get closer together. And it's like, I loved the feeling of this episode. It felt so normal in comparison to other episodes. Like, with other episodes you have big action scenes and fight scenes and scary shit happening. In this, like, you did have a bit of that with the walkers, but it was mostly just character driven, and I'm a total sucker for episodes like that. I love anything got to do with character storyline or with character development. And I feel like with Dory, when he came into the show, I had so many questions. I didn't trust him right off the bat. You guys know that. When it comes to The Walking Dead and Fear, I'm so suspicious of everyone that I'm like, nah, if I start to like a character and they're new, I'm like, alright, well, they're going to turn out to be like an asshole, or they're going to have some hidden fucking backstory that makes them a dick. But Dory doesn't have that. He's just a nice fucking guy. And I remember reading a comment on this week's reaction video where someone was just like, oh, you didn't trust him and he turned out to just be a nice guy. Like, it's the apocalypse. You can't just trust people because they seem nice. We've learned from before, people can have hidden motives and ulterior motives and reason for doing what they're doing. So you can't just take people at face value in this world, in the apocalypse universe kind of thing. That's why I didn't trust him. And then when we found out that his girlfriend ran away from him, I was like, well, that's a huge fucking red flag. You know, what would have prompted her to run away? And it did just turn out that it was just, it is what it is kind of thing. And I love that he is what he says he is. I feel like you don't get a lot of that in the apocalypse anymore. He is just a loving, nice man who was just looking for someone. And I wasn't expecting that from him. I was expecting some kind of evil backstory or fucking some shit. And I'm kind of shocked a little bit that he is just a nice person. Is that how warped my brain is? That I'm like, no, something has to be off. He can't just be a nice person, though. That's too straightforward. So getting to see his character be so honest and just... But I said it in the video, he's like a little lost puppy dog that just needs love. Getting to hear his backstory as well about how he was a guard a cop. Where I'm from, we call cops guards. G-U-A-R-D-S. So if I ever use that word in the video, that's what it means. But that he was a guard before the apocalypse and this, you know, horrible thing happened and he moved up to the cabin by himself. So to me, it kind of felt like he was living that apocalypse life long before the apocalypse even started. That kind of lonely routine of wake up, do this, that, and the other in this order and then go to bed. He'd been living that kind of monotonous lifestyle before the apocalypse even happened. And then Naomi turned up, or Laura, whichever. And I think she made him feel something for the first time in a very long time. And getting on to her character, God knows what's happening downstairs, lads. I think my mum's making dinner, that's what the noise is. Getting on to Naomi, her character, I really like her a lot. Like I said, you can't just take people at face value. She came into the show with a bang, you know, trying to fucking attack people and rob shit. And then you see her with Dory and it's like, where the fuck did she come from? She washed up on his front door pretty much, Didn't really say a whole lot about a whole lot. But then that little conversation she had on movie night with him, where she said, I lost a child. Did she mean in the apocalypse? Did she mean like her kid died by walkers or by, you know, whatever apocalyptic reason? Or, you know, did that happen to her before the apocalypse and she's just still fucked from it? I'm guessing it happened during the apocalypse, you know, Carol style. And that was something I mentioned in my video as well, that she's very similar to Carol. The way she's gone into that kind of flight risk. She doesn't want to stay anywhere. She doesn't want to get close to anyone. She wants to keep moving because staying with people means you get hurt. It's very reminiscent of Carol, and the way she acts and the way she speaks, that she gives off the impression of being this kind of delicate character, but she isn't. She can handle her own. Again, very similar to Carol, which is, I think, why I like her so much. I just hope she didn't die, like Alicia fucking said. I don't think she did. We didn't see her die. We didn't see a body. We didn't see all that shit happening. So I'm guessing she somehow snuck out alive. I'm guessing, you guys. I'm fucking hoping. But that was her. And something else I brought up as well in the video was, in the reaction video, was the walkers seemed oddly drawn to shit in this episode that there was no real reason for. Like, they were drawn to the bridge. And then they were drawn to the cabin, Dory's cabin. Now, I know they washed up along the beach, but they just headed straight for Dory's cabin and nobody was even in the cabin making noise. They were all asleep. So surely the walkers should have just walked past the cabin or wandered around a little bit. You know what I mean? They need like stimulation to attack or to follow people. There was none that night. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on with the walkers in this episode? That was the only really thing that kind of had me going, what? Apart from that, this was probably my favourite episode that I've seen. I thought it was so beautifully done, beautifully shot. The acting in this was fucking incredible. The scene where Dory said, I loved you, I believed every word of that fucking section. I was just there with him. I was like feeling for him and feeling for her. And then he woke up without her and I was like, why? And the fact that he kept the little Scrabble pieces with him as a little sign of hope. I would only ever associate Scrabble now with Dory. And I'm like, oh, I'll never be able to play a game of fucking Scrabble without crying for him. I'm lucky the lights that I used to film are so fucking bright too, because I was crying during that episode, but you couldn't see because of the glare of the light, and I was like, yeah. But I liked the change of pace this episode. Don't get me wrong, I love action, I love explosions and big ass scenes, but this just felt so small and secluded and delicate. The whole episode just had this delicate, fragile feeling to it, and yeah, it was probably because of the characters that you know, were the focal point of this episode. But I loved it. I really loved the pacing, the storytelling, the acting, the shots, the set. I loved it. Now, was there anything that I wanted to say that I'm going to forget about saying, and then I'm going to edit this and be like, why didn't I say that? I should really start making notes before I fucking record. That would help my life a lot. Oh yeah, something else as well that had me like confused was the alarm clock. Apparently you guys know all about that alarm clock in America, the weird fish that flaps around. I did not know what that was. That's not a thing at all where I'm fucking from. Yeah, I think that's it for this episode. I think we'll leave it there. Yeah, there's going to be points that I forgot to mention, as there always is, but I just really liked that episode. I hope we get to see more like that in the future. I love slower episodes like that, and it made me look at John. See, I call him John and I call him Dory. I don't know which one to fucking call him. I'll just call him Dory because it's funny and it reminds me of Dory from Finding Nemo. It just made me look at Dory differently because now I can love him. Now I can kind of relate to him on certain levels and I can like him without feeling suspicious. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in upcoming episodes because now I'm allowing myself to like him. I'm like, well, he's not a bad guy, so I'm allowed like him. As for Naomi, what the fuck happened to her? Because, you know, sometimes characters just go missing from shows. Hello, Heath. Hello, Daniel. So she better not become another one of those fucking stories. And it's just like she's gone and it's just accepted. Like, nah. Dory fucking needs her. Either we see her dead or she walks back in and she's like, you want to finish that game of Scrabble? I'm sorry, I left. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I just thought I'd jump on and share some thoughts about why I loved it and rant a little bit because you guys know I love to rant. And you guys seem to like listening for some reason. I don't know why, but you do, and it's lovely. Anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon.